Hiya helps a hunter leave his mark. Here's your look at the Hiya Toys AVP Alien vs. Predator Grid Alien Exquisite Mini. Exquisite Mini is a new standard setting series for 1/18th scale, featuring super articulation action figures under Hiya Toys. Before we check out this checkerboard alien, I suppose we probably should grab our ruler just to see how tall the figure stands. While I'm also doing this, I'd like to thank as well the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide the sample of the AVP Exquisite Mini Grid Alien that we could have a look at in this video. As for its measurements, you're probably not going to be displaying the figure, I would imagine, with its legs extended like this, but it's just to show you guys how tall the figure is with its legs fully straight. The Grid Alien stands almost 5 inches in height, or about 12.5 centimeters tall. And though they wouldn't share the same screen time, even though we have looked at him just recently, I'm going to slide over the Grid Alien and, like I said, bring in the previously looked at Temple Guard Predator. Again, you're probably stating the obvious. You're probably not going to be displaying the figure with its legs straight like this, but it does show you, at least when the legs are straight, that the Grid Alien is going to be slightly taller than the other AVP Predator Exquisite Minis that Hiya Toys produced. Covering off the accessories that come included with the Grid Alien, as we've seen with other cases before, the Grid Alien comes included with a display stand. The display stand is really no different than the other figures that we've gotten before. Here happens to be one that came included. I think this was the one that came with Big Chap or one of the other AVP Predators. It doesn't really matter. They're literally the exact same type of display stand. And they also work the same way that if you flip them around, you can see that they lines up these open slotted areas to come included with this figure. As with all the other Exquisite Minis, you get these eye brackets. The eye brackets simply just attach. And again, you really don't even need more. You don't really even need two. I mean, you can really easily just use the one, but to attach both of them, like I said, you just attach them to the underside. And right away, you've got yourself an extended display base where you can have multiple figures attaching to them, displaying like that, or you can, of course, have them fighting one another. I prefer the more latter. So again, you get these display stands. I always love the fact that Hiya Toys would include those. Something else that comes included with the Grid Alien is the fact that it comes included with these swappable hands. I'm going to hold these up right now. So small these hands are, and yet so well detailed, as you can see. There's no paint that I can see on these, but still they've sculpted the hands rather nicely. You can see the amount of texturing that they've done to the skin of the xenomorph, both on the top and the bottom of the hands. Now, the thing about the hands, though, is if you're looking at the hands that are already on the figure, I'm going to grab samesies here so you guys can see. Grabbing this one here, for example. They're really not that much different from one another, other than you could say that the swappable hands are slightly bigger, and maybe this one serves as more of a gripping hand, even though it doesn't really grab onto anything. Yeah, the hands really aren't that much different. I almost would have just been fine for the hands that would have come included with the figure in the first place and just saved the plastic, maybe used it for something else. Maybe like a face hugger, for example. I'm going to put those to the side. And getting a closer look at the Grid Alien, one of my personal favorite things about AVP is that they identified a specific xenomorph by giving it unique markings. It was, of course, in battle with another Yautja, and it used that spiraling up fencing to catch the alien, and sort of left behind now this grid work that comes across the top of his head. And again, it really gave the opportunity for a xenomorph. Unlike the other ones that are pretty much all identical to one another, this one really did stand out. It didn't serve really much other purpose in the movie other than, hey, it's the Grid Alien that you could see in the background. I think it doesn't even come to the end of the movie either. I think whether it gets crushed in the tunnel or you see it in the tunnel, and that's basically all you see of it. But at least they did do something different, and they gave this a unique trait that none of the other xenomorphs share. With the grid work, I have to say it's been handled well, that they didn't simply just paint this in. If you run your fingers along it, you can actually feel the little canals where they've sculpted that in. So like in the movie, it's actually embedded into its skin. The only thing I could say as a criticism is while you're looking at the Grid Alien, it also happens to have it on the shoulders too, but this has only just been painted in. The darker color here, I think, works better to the coloring that it would have had in the film. I feel like maybe the grid that they've done on the top of the alien has actually been painted the wrong color. If anything, I feel it's way too bright of a yellow, and I would have gone instead the route of more of this darker green that would have been, like even this green on the shoulders area, on the shoulder areas of the xenomorph, I think actually would have matched better if they put the same color on the top, because I don't think it's this bright when you actually see it in the movie. The alien still has also the trait, as with the other aliens, of having the extendable jaw. It's a little harder to kind of get access to. Sometimes you can tilt it a bit and just bang it a little bit to actually get the little jaw to extend out. Usually I have success. There's other times I don't. Do we have any success with this one? Let's see if we can actually get it out. You may have to just take my word for it. The jaw does extend out, although it's quite a bit stuck. There we go. There we go. I didn't really want to give up the idea that I wasn't going to be able to get it out, but sure enough, it is. It's out. You can see what it looks like. They have painted nicely the very end teeth there, the tiny chompers inside the mouth, and have matched the same silver on the top and the bottom of its jaw too with its teeth. So that looks pretty good. Now, articulation on this figure, the articulation is basically all cemented here in the neck. There is no articulation at the top here. And with the particular design of the AVP xenomorphs, they're known for having broader necks here and not as narrow as maybe like the big chap that we would have looked at before. In fact, actually, I just so happen to have big chap here on the ready. It's almost like I've planned all of this. Big chap, when you can see him, for example, even though his neck is jointed the same way, you can see like his neck, for example, I'm just going to compare it with the AVP Predator, AVP Alien, has a much broader neck on the AVP version than the original big chap. I suppose the articulation is the same on both the figures, but there's definitely a lot more detailing done to the AVP xenomorph than your traditional big chaps or your traditional alien xenomorphs. Gonna move him out of the way for now. The sculpting is good on him. There's really a lot of just more plastic used than really paint. I don't see there's a lot of areas here where there would have been paint used on the figure. There is the little bit, of course, already mentioned here on the shoulders where he has the continuation of the grid work. But other than that, it seems like it's just molded black plastic, which is fine. I don't expect them to necessarily take a xenomorph that's black by nature and feel then the need to go in there and start adding paint to plastic. If it's already molded into black plastic, I think that's more than enough. Maybe, if anything, they could have added something additionally to here so they didn't rely on just the molded plastic alone. But at least one thing that's good about the grid alien, if you look at his tail, it actually does have the cut off portion like it would have had in the film. I like that little extra touch of detail. And it also helps too to bring some much needed coloring there as well to an otherwise, again, all black xenomorph. Getting a closer look at his legs. The thing about his legs, I've noticed it's really loose. This one leg is looser than this one right here. Actually, this leg is the better of the two. But I did notice taking this guy out of the packaging. See his thigh right there. How quite loose it is compared to the rest of the body. In fact, actually, you could take really both the figure's legs and sort of got that dinner bell thing going on where you can sway them back and forth. So they are a little on the looser side. But for me, at least, one good thing about these xenomorphs really is the fact that they do have the wireframe tail, first of all. So you can use it sort of as a supporting strut behind the figure. And that allows the figure to have a little more additional stability. And for me as well, I'm probably going to be displaying the figure anyways with its legs bent. Speaking of things that bend, let's have a look at the figure's articulation now. We're going to start things off first with the head sculpt. I mentioned already, the ball joint is right here, so there's no ball joint at the top here. This allows the head to rotate back and forth this way, up, down, and you can also rock it back and forth this way. The mouth, of course, already mentioned, does open and close. And you can, again, if you can get it in there, get it out of there. There you go. As the inner jaw that actually can come out as well. I always like when the aliens, even small of this size, still manage to be able to include that with the figure. As for the arms comfortably come out. I wouldn't necessarily say at a 90-degree angle bend, but you could probably pull off about a 45 degrees roughly here on the xenomorph. The arms can, of course, rotate all the way around. The arms bend. There's a single hinge on the bend that allows the elbow to bend. You can rotate the arm forward and back. And yeah, you can rotate the hands all the way around, hinging back and forth. Still don't really think that the figure needed to have the extra hands. I really think that these hands are doing a fine enough job on their own. I really don't think we necessarily need to change out the hands. Again, just to show you, not really much different at all. Upper torso on the xenomorph is on a ball joint, so you can rotate that all the way around. Legs do split. And mentioned already, the figure does have, at least on mine, fairly loose legs. Disappointing. The figure does have a double hinge on the knee, so at least there's that. And the figure does also have a hinge in the ankle, where you can also rock it back and forth too. And you can, of course, bend the tail. So if you're having any difficulty whatsoever when it comes to these figures standing, squatted or not, then yes, you can easily just bend the tail. There's the wire frame on the inside of the tail. And if you're ever curious, by the way, why there's holes in a wire frame, I thought it always had something to do with the fact that they did it so that the wire frame wouldn't somehow rust inside. In actual fact, the reasoning why they put the holes in there is when they are molding the wire frame inside of the rubbery material, They actually put those are the remaining marks left behind from the mold press. So they put that there to actually prevent the wireframe from shifting. It basically just aligns it up in the middle in the mold press when they're filling the rest of the mold in. So that's why there's holes on the bottoms of the tail. Fancy that, eh? So yeah, it's a great looking figure. I mean, if only from a cosmetic standpoint, I would say the only thing I wish the figure could have actually possessed better was better paint job on the grid work on the top of its dome. I feel like it's way too bright of a yellow, if anything. Maybe if anything, if it was a brighter green, that would be one thing. But I think like the grid work is a little too bright, but all the rest of the figure comes together really nicely. If you have been collecting the AVP figures, the Exquisite Minis that Hiya Toys have been putting in, and already have quite a lot of Predators to go around, this is a great looking Predator. Not great looking alien, not one of which you probably will want to be buying multiples of, with its unique trait of having that grid work across the top of its forehead. This is a figure you're probably only going to be buying one of, and then filling out the rest of the xenomorph threat with more nameless, unidentifiable xenomorphs, and sort of keep Grid Alien on his own, one and only. Whether you liked or loathed AVP, one thing I hope at least we can agree upon is that the Grid Alien was an interesting way to incorporate a unique trait to a xenomorph that instantly had it recognizable above all the other xenomorphs there without having to change and alter the look of the character. It wasn't a lab-grown alien, nor was it the resulting of splicing DNA between human and alien. It's just literally an alien that left behind a war wound after its battle with the Predator. The Predator left that fencing line gridded across the top of its head, and instantly, you knew right away when the Grid Alien would make an appearance in that movie. Shame it didn't play a bigger role, though, in the film. I mean, if you're going to be taking the time to have it a unique-looking alien, I wish it would have had more screen time than what it actually did. At least it could have more screen time or shelf time on your shelf, thanks to the folks over at Hiya Toys for finally giving us a Grid Alien. Using still the same alien as we got before from the AVP. I think we already have gotten an AVP alien before, but of course changing out some of the little markers there on the top of its head and the side of its body. Not to mention as well, the cut off end of its tail are nice little touches that make, again, this one unique above the other aliens we've gotten before. The only criticism I could say about the alien, though, is the grid work itself. While it's nice that they actually carved it into the skin, I wish that they could have actually darkened the color, because I think in the film, the Grid Alien is more closer to being a light green than a light yellow. The green on the shoulders is fine enough, but I think the grid coloring that they've used for the top of the dome is, in my personal opinion, way too bright. Other than that, though, I really like the look of this one, and it's going to fit in rather nicely on the shelf with the rest of the other AVP, Alien, and Predator figures we've looked at before. A big thank you again to the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide the sample of the Grid Alien that we can have a look at in this video. Certainly, if you guys have picked up this figure or planning to pick up this figure, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of it. Is this, well, I guess the better question would be asking you guys, is this a figure that you would like to pick up for the price? Now, with the price point on these Hiya Toys, the Exquisite means they're a little bit more expensive, being that they're not mass retail released. They're going to be paying a little bit more. You are going to be paying a little bit more if you're looking to pick these ones up and add them onto your shelf. But again, for the size of what these figures are and for the amount of figures that they have been producing for both the Predators and the Aliens, Hiya Toys is really, in my personal opinion, producing some of the best 4-inch scale figures that we've gotten. Again, super detailed, super articulated, and the fact in many of the cases they come included with accessories. Though I would debate again, I don't know if with Grid Alien whether he really needed to come include the extra hands. I think if anything, they probably could have used the plastic and saved the plastic for something else instead. But really, again, liking the look of Grid Alien. Hey guys, if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure if you haven't already done so that you turn on the subscription button. Now, I guess you have to press the subscription button. Make sure as well you're turning on the bell notification so you're of course getting those friendly reminders of whenever new videos are popping up. And speaking of popping up, at the very end of this video, you may also see popping up a playlist for all the other Hiya Toys stuff that I've looked at before over the years, as there has been quite a lot of territory I've covered from Hiya Toys Exquisite Minis, whether it be the Injustice 2 stuff, whether it be the Alien, whether it be the Predator, or even be the RoboCop. Lots of cool stuff coming from Hiya Toys. Feel free to check out that playlist if you have a little bit of time available. Lots of stuff coming your way, guys, as well as some additional Exquisite Mini reviews. So if that's the kind of thing that you come to this channel for, make sure, yes, you're keeping your peepers peeled, because we are going to be looking at some more Exquisite Minis down the pipeline. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.